something like that. But your body and your mind and even your name is a tool. So you can do more than what you think is best. You can do what you know is best.
Well, then, if that's the case, I'm putting my tools away because I have to get some rest.
Yeah, yeah. We'll keep it up, dear father and mother.
Yeah. Yep, thanks for calling. It was nice night because I got to talk to Bess and then Daniel and then you. So,
Ha, well, that's good.
it was a good evening.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Really pretty windy here right now.
Yeah, it's been absurdly windy here.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, same. I was just saying it's been absurdly windy here.
Yeah, the squirrels don't like to come out when it's windy. They did come out earlier today to eat bird food, like they do. But then in the afternoon when it started getting windy like that, they all like to hang out where it's in their nests, I think.
Yeah, a few weeks ago when it first snowed, there were schools out all over the place. But yeah, right now I don't think I've seen any squirrel action at all.
Yeah, there's a bunch. They're getting so fat, it's ridiculous. I mean, they were getting so fat, I was afraid they were going to explode. I'm not kidding you. We had to go out different times and, just so they would leave because they'll just keep eating until their stomachs are like just protruding out.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think squirrels are used to being able to eat that freely, like usually have to work harder. But last year there was a ton of acorns. And every so many years, we get a lot of. But then this year it's off cycle, so there wasn't hardly any this year. So they're eating a lot of seed. I go through about 50 pounds a month.
Huh.
Yeah, looking at my bills, and I'm thinking, okay, so the bird feed bill is like, I think there's several other bills I have, which is kind of
That's
wow, who would have thought?
that's really good.
Yeah, but
I'll cut off extra pieces of asparagus and I'll peel off extra parts of my onion and I'll leave extra portions of avocado, etc., to give back to the earth every time I take food. Remind myself how stupid I was when I was younger and how ignorant many of us are when we consider giving our own organic waste back to the earth versus consuming all of it.
yeah, that's right. That's exactly it, because it's all about using stuff from your own area, too.
Yeah, 100%. I guess it's weird to
I
give.
was just looking,
I give so many tea bags back to the earth. That's probably one of the weird things I get confused about. But I feel like that's another part of the building the immunities. I feel like the earth wants some amount of diversity, and that humans are an absolute part of that. That humans are like a beautiful part of the diversity. Where sometimes I'm sure we go overboard, but I think for the most part, the earth it's what the earth wants.
yeah, well, I think we have to be, to be reasonable, we need to learn how things work and try to be as efficient as you can because you never know when you're going to go without, there's shortages, lack of water, so it's always pretty smart to take care of each other. Hopefully when we're not doing well, somebody else will take care of us, right?
Yeah, maybe like a different country.
That's true.
That's like the weird kind of thing that the kind of goals I have. I'm not thinking about trying to get help from my own family. I'm thinking like, hey, Can we find like a country like India or like I don't know, like whatever country we can? Can we find them to like help our country right now?
Well, and a lot of it has to do, at least for me anyway, is like, if I'm gonna help somebody else, it's just hard. It's a hard decision to make, but mostly it's just our willingness, I think, to help each other that makes a difference. So,
Yeah, and I think there's something far beyond that too, though. I think there's a feeling we get when we're mutually willing to help each other.
yeah, that's
And
for sure. Trust.
yeah, and that mutual feeling, I think, is plays a large role in the very discernment of the messages that come from a galactic and cosmic or even godly level.
Well, yeah, and for me, like the biggest social thing now is just being on Facebook, because I have like 100 and some friends on there or whatever, and I see what the things they post. And I see a lot of negative stuff, and there's like people being Democratic, Republican, and all this kind of stuff. And so I try to say things like, "Oh, now look at, we're all Americans here, So if you start to say nasty stuff about my friends, I don't care if they're Republican, I don't care what they believe. We're all Americans, and if somebody thinks they have the right to put themselves above everybody else and say that their way is right, that's certainly not a democracy, right? And if we don't even care about each other, what difference does it make? People, whether it's a democracy or what it is, if people are going to be mean to each other, it's just insane, the whole thing, And so, to me, I think, we're all Americans, and we all need to have that kind of respect for each other, for everybody in the world, really. Whether you're Russian or whoever you are, you don't know what people are like. Just because they're forced to fight with somebody you don't even know doesn't necessarily mean you agree with it.
Yeah, like that. One of the things I just brought up, that I don't think people realize. Like for instance, if someone's putting up a UK flag, they're saying, "Hey, we support this country because they're being attacked," and they're pretending they support like democracy or whatever. But people aren't realizing by raising a flag, they're supporting war. That's all they're doing. Doesn't matter which flag they raise. The moment they raise a flag to claim one side or another, that's simply an act of war. That's all that is. It's literally choosing a side.
Yeah, right. Well, we've been watching some really good shows. I really like that fact that we got Netflix and your mom's been finding some really cool stuff. But one of them, it's called Little Boy, Little Boy. And it's just, you should watch it because it's about World War II, and how all that war went on. But mostly about how people have reconciled it.
Oh yeah.
Well, this little boy, anyway, his dad was gone, and he thought he was probably dead, in the war or whatever. And so he's just really young and learning about religion and different things. And so this priest said, well, here's a list. It's called the Ancient Faith List, and this is what people do, and he's talking, the boys are all interested, and he goes, well, and here's the list. He goes, feed the hungry, shelter the homeless, visit those in prison, clothe the naked, visit the sick, bury the dead, and be friends with your enemy.
Wow.
So this kid is like, he thought he had superhuman power because he heard the gospel and kind of figured it wrong, about,
Huh.
having faith like a mustard seed or whatever, So he had the whole thing wrong.
Yeah, I mean that relates to me so much. Like, when I became a web developer, as 9/11 happened, when I was dropping out of high school, for 3 years. At that point, I think for 3 years, I quite literally believed that it was likely that I was God, and or that there was no such thing as God, either or. For 3 years straight.
I think we all go through that.
I mean,
I remember being them.
I mean, people. Oh man. So, and the more I talk, the more I
We
admit.
all go through those different beliefs, until we, come to some kind of conclusion, or somebody on their own, or somebody, helps us with it, helps us to understand, because reality is so evasive. It's just really hard to know sometimes when you're even doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people do tend to admit that. It's also weird though because when I emphasized that for me for that whole 3 years, it seemed like literally at the time anything I imagined was actually happening, or anything I commanded, or it just seemed like I was in absolute control of the whole world. Um,
Yeah, that
and
can certainly happen.
and different people I talk to, a lot of them don't relate to that. A lot of people seem to have a different experience where they maybe thought that, and then as they tried it, it just didn't even work out for like a week even.
Yeah, because it doesn't always work. So it's hard to predict, right?
I guess, and actually, I have to admit, my formula was probably different than the average person. Not only did I think I was God, but I figured I should just give everything away for free if I was God. Like, screw all these assholes. If I'm God, everything's free. Like, that's basically my instant philosophy.
Right, so how did that work?
Yeah, it actually seemed like God really was entertained by who I was, and He empowered me to figure that out. Even till today, that's still my same vision: is that I need to figure out how to just give everything I have away for free because God thinks that's hilarious and a good idea.
Well, it's about being happy to do that, to help other people out. That's what he said anyway. It's our, being happy to help other people out. It's what he loves.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Um, and and for me, for some reason, it was in my genetics, kind of to naturally help people who I knew were helping other people out,
Right.
but also to be really judgmental against anyone that wasn't. That was also in my instincts.
Yeah, I know. And it's like being brought up Catholic for me. I couldn't, it was hard to understand because there was so much evil going on all the time. All around me was everybody, including myself. And it was like there was just no way to stop it. And that was my experience, and then it got to a point where that's the way I wanted it. I like, because all the things in the world, right? Women and getting drunk and stoned and whatever else there was going on. There was a while there where it was like that's what I supported. Without even, and then at the same time thinking that I was doing good. Because I was going to church or something, right? Total hypocritical baloney, but it took a long time to change.
Yeah, and for me, I would see that whole hypocrisy by a really young age, and then I would think that because I saw the hypocrisy, then I could go into the darkest of realms with the most corrupt people, and that I would be uncorruptible myself. Slowly to realize the more environments I went in, the more corruptible I would become, and that it didn't matter what I'd seen by a young age. That now I suddenly had all these demons to fight that had apparently become attached to me outside of baptism itself. They had just shown up while I thought I was helping other people, but I was sort of pretending I was like a badass, and I wasn't really weighing additional darkness as I would combat things that I would see as negative, I guess.
Well, it's so hard for us to judge things though because we only see from our own perspective,
Yes and no. I've always been autodidactic, and so I don't. So my perspective includes both sides, no matter what, and I'm unbiased about that. And that actually makes me even more judgmental if someone doesn't understand both sides, which is pretty much all the time.
Well, learning how to judge the situation and do it accurately, that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Uh,
What I'm talking about is prejudging stuff
well,
from a perspective.
and that's
We don't have the complete picture. That's all I'm saying.
and that is still kind of what I'm getting at in the sense of, to have the right reaction, because if you don't have the right reaction, it doesn't matter what you see as darkness. If you have a bad reaction, you're just lighting a fire for more demons or for more darkness, however you want to describe it.
Yeah, and so the point on the whole thing, what you just said there, is the fact that there was times when I would feel like I was think I was gonna die or whatever, right?
Uh,
It would put me in such a state of like it wasn't really hatred, but it was like a state of despair, And I never could understand that, and I just figured it was from having a guilty conscience or something. But then now I think of it differently. I think of it more like there's some things that they have love in them, and they're fun, and they just make you so you don't take it so seriously. You know what I'm saying? You don't take things as seriously, and so you just like go from this world into the next, basically unscathed and having fun and enjoying what you're doing, or so it doesn't have that sting to it like before. And what's so weird about it is like going to Catholic school, I just felt guilty all the time. I just figured I was just going to hell because there was nothing I could do
what?
to
That's so
that's how
weird.
I felt.
If you guys saw the photos of me, I was condemning everyone around me, knowing that all I could do was condemn them all because they pretended they were righteous, when I knew that they knew nothing compared to me, and I wasn't even claiming I was righteous.
Right. But you know who was the best at that, though? It was Jesus himself, because when he was born, he was born to die. And they even knew it, because Simeon, when he was born, 8 days they had to go, and later they had to go baptize him, right? And Simeon's talks about how it's like a sword thrust through his mother, through Mary's heart, for what he had to go through, and that he was born to die, and he just accepted it, and that's the thing about it, is that he didn't make it so that he thought anything of himself. He just kept himself lowly, and he did what you were just saying, that you reminded me of the fact that he didn't put himself above anybody. He just, it was like he called himself a worm, that he was the lowest thing there was, and put everybody else above him, and that's the reason why we were saved, because if he didn't have to do that, he could have just said, yeah, I'll just make some new people and we'll let these ones die because they deserve it, right?
Yeah, I never really thought about how much I actually cared about people when I was always angry. But yeah, I actually intentionally put myself beneath people in the sense of seeing darkness. No, like basically seeing us all burning, knowing that at the least I could do is share the truth. Never really thinking about how that's actually a compassionate thing, but having always wondered why people would come to me and say that even when I would like do stuff that to me was just totally angry, many people would come to me and say that something I did or said like touched their heart. Is basically what they would say, and it never made any sense to me at all. I would just like cock my head at them and just wonder what the heck they're talking about. But then looking back, I guess sure, I was extremely judgmental to these people, but while I had that attitude my whole teenage life, for at least 15 years of my life, or not necessarily 15, sorry, because for the first 4 years I was pretty innocent,
If you're
but
judging people properly, that's not a problem because that probably means that you're actually judging yourself properly too.
I mean,
Those are all good things. That's how we keep each other in line. You know, it's the judgments that are made. Like when you got whole towns that say, "Oh, that's a black woman. She doesn't deserve to go to school," or whatever. You know, that sort of thing, right?
yeah, and I mean,
It's different.
yeah, and having traveled around, I've experienced prejudice everywhere I go, and yeah, admittedly now, I do realize apparently I was so honest with people around me in my hometown that as much as things weren't necessarily easy for me when it came to socially or socializing, people respected me in a way I've never found anywhere else,
Well, the one thing I've learned just being around people that were black and the ones that would just put it out in the open would talk about it. They're the ones that made me feel at ease because if they could talk about it, I didn't have to think that they were going to try to kill me later for what I believed in, you know. So that's the whole picture right there. It's just realizing that there's people out there that actually can talk about things and have a sense of humor and just get along if they want, you know. You can't do that without.
I don't even know two of them, and my instant response is like, because I realized I said something stupid, I'm just like, oh yeah, like, here I am, the dumb white guy, the dumb skinny white guy. And this dude says something more along the lines of just like, bro, like, you're, like, that's way too intense, bro, like, what's going on, like, he's just basically, like, telling me to just, like, go, like, if I'm gonna have this type of attitude, just, like, leave. That's just so hilarious, because I was, like, calling myself out on my stupidity, but his perspective is, being a bouncer at bars for a lifetime and just hanging out with his homies, is just literally, like, we're trying to chill, like, why are you even saying this shit? was the name of it?
Not sure. I'll get it to you. I mean, there's another movies about that same sort of thing, but this one was really well done. It's a newer one too. But I will, yeah, I'll get you the name of it.
Nice. Yeah, and
It's worth watching.
there was another show you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, another movie. I can't think of what it was. I was gonna write it down, but I didn't have a pen handy, and now I do.
Yeah, so this one, the one I was just telling you about, I'm not sure.
No worries. No, you're good. That's why I brought up the one before, because I didn't want to lose that one either.
Yeah, I'm going to fire up the computer here. Because it's got my account on there, you know, for Netflix or whatever, so I should be able to see what's watching.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I make sure not to use Netflix on any computer that I don't want access. Like, you taught me that TVs, like an LCD screen, can literally see you. Well, I'm telling you for a simple fact that Netflix can see you through your TV screen if you simply read the terms of service. So you might not want that connected to your computer, but I don't know. I guess it just depends. Actually, that's kind of... well, I mean...
The other way around. I want everybody to be able to hear everything I got to say. And that's what they're getting their ears filled.
Speaking of which, you should change your name from LS Kuo back to Joe Labonte on everything you have. Because, yeah, dude, I'm on the same page, Dad, and I'm telling you that we need full transparency. And that's the only way we're going to get away with any censorship in the future, is if we're honest about everything that is going on in our reality. It's like the average person has one of those, Google the Google Home boxes or an Alexa in every single room. I wonder how many people have told each other and reminded each other that means that anytime they have sex, that literally Alexa or Google is literally monitoring them having sex, for instance. You know, like people are not even thinking about the reality they're in at this point. They're not even like questioning it. They're just in it.
Well, you know, in this area, it's like people are building houses so they can see inside of our bedroom, you know?
Yeah, I haven't been there since, it sounds like twice the amount of properties have occurred.
So I'm just saying, it's like...
Oh, that reminds me, you can sue every single one of those. Every single one. Like, you guys can be millionaires right now. You can sue every single obstruction to your view, every single obstruction to your perspective. Like the kind of stuff you used to experience when you were younger, there was like other people messing with you. Imagine that every time someone's messing with you, you actually can take them to court, and chances are, if you want, you can win. And get...
Sounds like something that keep me busy.
I mean, I don't know. I talked to this French dude when he heard about the bullshit I was experiencing in my office. I think the week someone had OD'd on meth in my office. And he was telling me about how he sued all his neighbors, and he after one of them tried to sue him, and that he's ended up making over $30 million from his own neighbors. When they...
Oh, yeah, I heard you told me about that before.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he did admit he literally lost like $10 million to his own neighbors. But I mean, that's kind of the irony, is this is someone who's being attacked by his own neighbors, takes them on legally, and instead of losing anything, he regains at least $20 million. or so, you know, he's suddenly wealthier than he was before. I mean, like, he's already in the wealthiest spot. Like, you can literally see this from a 30-mile radius. You know, you could see this particular location from a 30-mile radius. It's like the Grand Traverse Resort of locations, and he's already that wealthy, but people attack him, and he decides to defend himself. And anyway, my point is though is that you should sue people if they're negatively affecting the state land around us. And I'm pretty sure that every single person in the neighborhood, aside from anyone who doesn't use pesticides, is. So I personally would be willing to join you in pursuit of suing anyone in the neighborhood that is utilizing pesticides 100% immediately, starting today. Because you talk about, your health and stuff, and maybe you forget it's not like the farmers it's not like the cows that are to blame. It's literally everyone around us that's not doing the right thing, which is, for instance, everyone that buys a new house that's using more pesticides in your own neighborhood. Those are the bad people. Those are the people you need to oppose. Literally your own neighbors. They're the closest people. They're the ones that are doing bad that are near you. They're who you should probably stop. I don't know. Those are my thoughts about people around me. If they're doing something bad. But I also know if you wanted money, you had to sue anyone for view obstruction itself. And I would emphasize that that's also not a selfish thing to sue someone for view obstruction, because you're just helping to preserve nature. So who cares if you're getting money out of it? And who cares if it's selfish? The truth is even if it is selfish as a human and for your family, you're benefiting the earth. Yeah, you're benefiting the earth. And so if you're doing something that's better for the earth than anyone else, be as selfish as you can. Be the most selfish person you can be. Be Russia for all I care.
Little Boy is the name of that movie. The one about
Oh.
the war. Yeah, the one about the Second World War I was telling you.
Okay.
That kid.
Word. Got it.
And that series is called Down to Earth with Zac Efron.
Oh yeah, I've watched.
Telling you about.
Yeah, I've watched Down to Earth. I've watched all that.
I thought so. And then the other one I was talking about has to do with yeah, Enola Holmes is pretty good too. There's a couple of different ones that are and she's like with her brothers, Sherlock Holmes, and those are pretty good ones.
Nice. Yeah, I've been.
So what was it? What's that?
Oh, you're good. I was just thinking. I watch so much stuff in the background while I do stuff. It's just like, it's always been. I've probably spent more time watching educational media than maybe even Daniel, I suppose. It's like that's just how I do it. I watch YouTube my whole life, and I don't know. Yeah, it's exciting to see that you've been watching such similar content, because, yeah, to me it reminds me that like this is a perfect time for us to start doing true interviews and stuff together, because we can bounce off each other about different influencers and different characters that are significant and relate to our visions and our views. And something I've realized over the years is that there's really no way for us to credibly share our ideas with other people unless we have the intelligence to cite other people's ideas that relate to ours, pretty much on a per subject basis.
So here's another one for you. It's called
Okay.
The Night Before Christmas, and a night is spelled, like a night, like a horse night. K-N-I-G-H-T. The
Nice.
Night Before Christmas. That's a pretty good one.
That sounds fun. I've been watching this. I guess rewatching it, but I didn't watch the whole series. I've been watching this series called The Magicians, and it's totally fiction. But the truth is it encompasses so much theology from pretty much like every side of the every side of thought that could ever exist. And so to one degree, I take it at a grain of salt, more as like comedy than anything else. but to another degree, I actually use it to remind myself of the good and the bad, especially the bad. But just in that, there's always these like magical resolutions in the show. But when you're watching the show with all these magicians and they all specialize in magic, you just get to see the darkest, craziest stuff happen, just like the most grotesque, demented things, and just left and right, like crazier than a horror movie. It's like to the point where it's comedy itself. You know, like you see, like one moment, fungus, like someone uses magic to throw someone across a wall, and fungal spores pop out of their stomach. You know, and 5 minutes later, someone else that can teleport is infected, and their mind is taken over. But it like the actual point at a thriller level of of absurd chaos is to literally such a point where it only could be comedy. Like you can't even. I mean, maybe if you were like absurdly emotional, you could just sit there and like ball up and go into tears or something. But I think for the average person, it just becomes comedy because it's like if you have enough resistance to watch so much darkness at once, you just see the comedy of all this absurd stuff that you could never even experience in one lifetime. If you had one of these things happen to you at once, your whole life would be over. yet in 4 minutes, you just saw 30 different scenarios you'd never want to experience in your life, and then you saw.
Oh yeah, there's a couple more I want to tell you about.
Okay, sure.
One of them is the THAI Thai Cave Rescue.
What? I've not heard of that.
And that's a really good one because you'll learn a lot
Oh,
about these caves and how they deal with it.
that reminds
And
me.
then I think I told
The Last
you
Forest.
about
The Last Forest is one of the ones you'll want to see. That reminded me of that name.
oh,
Jeez, that's the kind of topic you and I should probably be talking about on a live podcast. There's only one indigenous forest left on the planet.
wow.
What the heck?
So
I-
Messiah.
oh yeah, I start. That's a TV show, isn't it? Not a movie, but a show.
I thought it was a movie.
I think I just started watching a show called. Yeah, no, Messiah's a show now. Yep. It's a series.
Okay, so it's a different show. It's a different one then. Let me see. I'll
What?
go back to it and see if I can get more information. Okay, so this has got, oh, yeah, it is a series. Never mind. Yep. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a really good show. That's like modern day apocalypse stuff.
Yeah, that show reminds me of. It reminds me of just how a lot of us have talked over the years that refer to each other as kind of like mythological beings, or however we want to say. We don't even really care, you know, but we just consider ourselves as different or whatever. And seeing that show, it's kind of funny because it shows it shows modern hypocrisy in a faith-based system where I still think probably the average observer doesn't know how to correlate, you know, the full spectrum between the light and the dark, between like what's going on that's like good and bad, basically. But I feel like that's kind of what makes it a good show, is that it forces people to think whether they're on a dark side or a light side, because it's going to relate to a lot of different types of people just by portraying this kind of chaos in a modern sense.
Well, we watched a show, it was a series called High Seas, and I'm not sure if that was the Marie Celeste, but I was reading about that in a factual book. And the ship ended up, they had like 1,100 people on board, and when they found the ship, there was no one on it.
Huh.
The movie is called High
Christmas truce?
Yep, Christmas Truce, Truce.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. It gives you such a good feeling, you know, because all this war and everybody doing all, having all this horrible stuff happen and ends up with a happy ending. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty much. I'm sure there's other stuff, but I like having it on my computer because I can look up everything that's on here quick. You know, it's easier than TV.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, the one thing that I realized in having people watch you is that anything you have to say, you can get it to them immediately. You know, if you're mad about something, you can just say it. And if it's true that they're watching, they get to hear you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but what
Maybe it'll actually help.
you'd think, but what sucks for people like me is that I used to make $100 an hour the moment I dropped out of high school, and now everyone I know is tracked, and so anything I talk to any of my friends is just all published, and literally all of my friends screwed me over, and I make $4.60 an hour right now because 9 corporations have overtaken the U.S. government, and the federal government is trying to oppose them. Yet I'm making $4.60 an hour as a high school dropout who literally made hundreds of dollars an hour as a teenager. As a simple fact. So the fact is no, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay.
Okay, I hear you. But there's something I want to say. Dave Yard posted this thing on Facebook. And it's a volcano, you know? And it's just awesome. There's like white smoke out the top. There's like a bright red. There's clouds like bright red. Then it's yellow in the background. You can see the volcano. And then you can see clouds. And the, you know, it's called the Blend of Beauty. And so I got looking at this thing. And there's like a black cloud coming out of the center of it. And it looks like a person.
So
So no wonder they had the god Vulcan. If people that saw that in these volcanoes, you know, that smoke could look like that. It looks like a person. It looks like Thor or something. Not Thor, but you know, Valhalla.
oh yeah, I mean, on any single day, I would just go to confront God myself and walk to the top of a nearby hill with any decent view. I would be able to see God in my presence, covering the sky, no matter what, on any day of my choosing.
Okay, who's making that noise? There's something that happens on my computer, and I don't know what program's doing it. It makes it sound like Peter did.
So anything in your web browser can do that if you accepted it to have notifications, and then you have to go into privacy settings and look what's on or whatever. Look what's been enabled. But personally, I just leave. I have one computer that's on Windows, and even that one I don't have notifications on anymore. And I mean, I don't know. For a minute, my reality will continue to be challenging because I'm not utilizing some of these primary cloud slave systems. But the truth is that I've already pioneered and worked with new systems that are open source, knowing that that is the future itself. So,
Yeah, and I got thinking about that too. That you were, you know, how people have been saying, you know, so indie is independent, and
yeah,
you're not allowed, you can't copyright their stuff because it's given away for free, right?
yeah,
So and it's published. So if somebody did try to steal it, so that really is a pretty good way to do it because that way, if people want to pay for it, they can. But at least it doesn't They're
IP,
taking everybody's intellectual rights away.
intellectual property, IP. But yes.
Yes, yes, right. Right.
Yeah, and what actually people
They
uh,
think they are, but it's illegal what they're doing.
well, so that's kind of what's interesting. People don't fully realize is that the Google licensing, although it does give Google a form of copyright over all the data that they're overseeing, it also is technically protecting people better than the federal government is against the other eight corporations, and so, and so ironically, we can actually still to date, as much as Google is using us to make money, we can still use Google to prove our intellectual property, if that makes sense. Even though they're copying our intellectual property, they're at least copyrighting it under our name each time. So sure, they're like redistributing it, and it might end up in 1,000 places, and you don't even know those 1,000 places. So you can't really compete with that. You can't even compete with yourself anymore because Google will figure out where you should be and show you 1,000 times for free for your random photo that you didn't even know they shared or whatever it was, you know. But the weird irony is that they're copyrighting that under your name, technically, using some like really interesting civil liberties that go all the way up to international laws. And so, at an odd level, anyone who could then hold Google accountable for what they're doing then should see full valuation reciprocated. Admittedly, I haven't seen that yet again. I felt it when I was a teenager, and now I've got 14 million views on Google Maps. You know, Google should obviously be paying me a six-figure income just for that, but they're not paying me anything, even though I'm bringing in 60,000 people to a business every month, for a fact, according to Google. I'm bringing in 60,000 customers a
They're not
month.
gonna get away with it though.
Oh, and that's kind of what's so weird is I don't even have to think about that exactly. Yeah, it's like as long as before I die, I give some of the businesses that I want to empower, additional presence, then yeah, not only can they not obstruct me, but secretly, I'm actually empowering these revolutionary things that I couldn't even have done through myself anyway. Like
Anyways, the thing is that God takes everything like that and turns it into something good. And so there's no reason for me to worry about it one way or the other anymore.
um,
I should be careful. I'm not saying to be stupid, but I'm just saying for me to worry about something, it doesn't do any good. I can't. It just drives me nuts.
indeed.
Yeah, Anne of Green Gables, we've been watching that series. Yeah, that is so good, man. Wow. And that's kind of like up in the area where my family first came. Was up in that, like around New Hampshire, in Canada, in that area.
Oh yeah.
Nova Scotia. And that's kind of like where the Labonte family kind of entered into this area that way, and then they went across.
Nice.
Like northern, above California there in Canada, Saskatchewan, and Alberta.
If I go straight to work for Paul Stamets, he has some businesses still in Washington, but it sounds like he has mostly migrated to the Old Forest above America, so in Canada. So that'll probably, realistically, if I'm going to connect with someone that has the kind of presence I had when I was a teenager that also is aligned with my personal views, then yeah, I gotta go meet Paul Stamets, who made the Fantastic Fungi film and stuff like that. But I think he'll be the one of the few people on the planet that will understand that one of the few white people on the planet that was born in America that will understand it may actually be possible that people have teleported using mushrooms.
Well, that is a hard one for me to prove.
Oh yeah, because I never tried to prove it to you. But if I had,
Well, I watched that series on people who died, you know, that I have the same kind of stuff happening.
right? Yeah, well, like the
Like that. And I've had it happen to me before too, obviously.
well, so for me, my affirmation didn't come from having 8 witnesses that took 10 years to tell me that it actually happened. My affirmation came from years later when I was telling the story to someone, and I looked it up on YouTube for the heck of it, and I actually found a shaman from an indigenous culture say that if you ate an ounce of mushrooms, if you could eat mushrooms until you had a tolerance to psychedelic mushrooms without hallucinating, where you could eat an ounce of mushrooms on your own, that if you reach that level of tolerance, that you could literally consciously teleport if you could eat an ounce of mushrooms. And the moment he said that, it correlated exactly my story, which is that I shared an ounce of mushrooms between 8 people, and 2 of us teleported, and there were 8 witnesses total. You know, it was just a simple fact. It never changed. You know, it was just a simple fact. And then later you look up a YouTube video and you watch a shaman say exactly the same volume, and you realize, wait, it wasn't even slightly crazy what I said. It literally was the exact formula itself.
Well, you know, dividing things.
Oh yeah, I think dividing things is way smarter. Because I didn't have to hallucinate at all.
I was just saying, dividing things makes it less, right? Per portion wise.
Per person, but not per group, and that's the whole point. Apparently, with energy, is that when it comes to fungus, it's all one thing. It's all one organism. It's a simple fact. So, if 8 people consume the same amount of fungus, or if one person consumes the same amount of fungus, it's exactly the same. That's this reality, and humans are just starting to try to figure it out, you know. But the average human, even if they write down that math, will just be like, "Oh, that's silly," you know. And then there's someone like an Abraham that witnessed it with his eyes, and then 8 other witnesses, and admitted it was silly, sure, and then found other people to prove them right, so he didn't even have to say anything like, "Hey, it's silly, ha, and it's true, ha." You're welcome.
Well, for some reason, your mom wants me to come to bed with her, so.
Huh. It has nothing to do with the time or anything, I'm sure.
Yeah, nothing to do with that, or how cold it is or anything. Or whether the boiler's working.
No, jeez. Well, hopefully that's out. Hopefully that's working.
Well, I definitely have fun with you, and I appreciate you calling, but I really better get going.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I love you too. Have a good night. Sweet dreams. Yeah.
Sharon, are you awake? Sharon? Sharon? I made dinner. It's bow tie pasta with chicken and beef bulgogi. So, okay. Okay, so should I leave it out? Will you clean this for me? Ray, will you clean this for me?
Yeah.
Will you clean this for me?
Huh.